Yeah. So I found an application that taking the text and make it in presentation.
Oh,
So I don't know if you can see better like that. It's like smaller, so I'm not sure it's better. Huh? It's harder to read because it's smaller. I asked them to do that bigger and they didn't, but yeah. Okay, I don't know. I'm not sure I'm going to use it. I just tried once. Let's see how it goes. Okay, so in Parashat Vayishlach, there is a famous story of the wife of Potiphar that tried to seduce Yosef Tzaddik, right? So we know the story. He was a servant in the house. He was very successful. And then the wife of his master tried to seduce him. Now, this is considered a very hard test, right? A young guy and a powerful woman and the situation and everything. And it was something that was constant for many, many months, at least Chachamim said for a year. So it was hard, and Yosef could pass the test, right? He didn't, he wasn't seduced by her. I want to speak about the verses that speaking about his refusal, right? So the verse says, Vayemaen, and he refused. Vayomer el eshet adonav, and he said to the wife of his master, Hen adoni lo yada iti ima babayit. My master doesn't know anything that's going on in the house. V'chol asher yeshlo natan biyadi. Everything that he has, he gave in my hands. Meaning he trusted me with everything that he has. He gave it to me. Einenu gadol babayit hazeh mimeni. He's not even bigger than me. I'm considered bigger than him in this house. ולא חסך ממני מאומה כי מותח באשר את אשתו. He didn't avoid me, he didn't prevent me from anything but you, because you are his wife. ואיך אעשה הרעה הגדולה הזאת? How can I do this big sin? וחטאתי לאלוהים, and I will be sinned to God. So these are the two verses, and as usual we start with question. What question do you see here?
sorry. Where is this from? Is this from the English?
Yeah.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, this is the verses that say that he refused, and they translated. So we can see a refusal, and then explain why. It's not ethical towards my master, because he trusts me and I cannot betray him. And also it says, V'chatati Elohim, and I sin towards God also. Or maybe this is the same thing. What do you think? I mean, it's quite clear, but maybe there are questions that
Egypt wasn't known for high moral standards.
What?
Egypt wasn't known as a high moral standards society.
Yeah. So
He applied his personal values to
Yeah.
the situation. Maybe in Egypt it's acceptable to,
it was acceptable for other people, maybe?
maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Okay. I mean, not only in Egypt, only in other places. Yeah.
Why is he putting the master before Hashem? Hashem being.
You should say that should be first not sin against God, and after that not sin against people. It's a big question. What is more severe? Harming other people, or making a sin against God?
Other people.
So it's a discussion. So we say usually that
Yom Kippur, Hashem forgives you whatever you sinned against him. Yom Kippur mikaper.
but not against other people.
Other people, you have to seek forgiveness.
Yeah, but maybe because they also were hurted, so you cannot ask from God if you hurted other people.
Right.
Not because it's more severe. Usually we say if you made a sin against other people, you say you did both, like it says here, against people and against God. While against God is only against God. But okay, I don't know. Anyway, the order of the arguments. I would say another question, why do you even need excuse? It's just not enough. Why do you have to explain yourself? No. Right? It's not something I should convince you that it's not okay. I mean, what do you want to, who do you want to convince? Himself. You said he'd say that to himself. Oh, okay, that's strong. He has to convince himself.
Like you say no as an explain, it's kind of inviting bargaining.
Discussion.
No.
You should have just said no. Okay. There is a very special time. So there is a special ta'am, melody that is unusual. It appears in the Torah several times, mostly in Sefer Bereshit, on the word Vayemaen. It's
Shalshelet?
called Shalshelet, Vayemaen. So we read it's a very long melody. In the Ashkenazi custom, we say Vayemaen 3 times, up and down. So this is something also that the Mefarshim are going to speak about. And also, here a little bit to understand. It says Vayemaen, he refused. How did he refuse? By saying no. No, but how was the action of refusal? She said, there was the verse before said, sleep with me. And he answered her, he didn't say no. Here he doesn't say no. ויאמר אל אשת אדוניו, ואין אדוני לא ידע איתי מה בבית. My master doesn't know anything, so I cannot betray him. Yeah, but how? So this is a refusal, right? The answer, I cannot do that. How can I do that against my master or against my God? But it doesn't say no in the beginning. Or maybe this is the question, the word Vayemaen, refuse, how? By saying all the rest of it. So why do you have to add the word refused? If had we taken the word refuse and he refused, what would be lacking? You say, she said, sleep with me. And the answer, sleep with me. And the answer to her, no, my master doesn't, no. He asked her, my master doesn't know. How can I do that? What is missing in the verse? This is a refusal. This is a refusal, right? Why do you have to say, and he refused? And he said, like two different things. Okay, you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Another question, a little question here is, En Adonav, Vayomer el Eshet Adonav. He said to the master, the wife of his master. So some of the comments say, commentators says, he could have said, and he told her, right? Because we are speaking about her. In the former verse, it's speaking about her. So, and he told her. My master doesn't know. Why do you say the wife of his master, right? Let's repeat again her title, right? So these are some of the questions in the Pshat. We can see a little bit more, but these are the questions that the Mefarshim are going to speak, and we'll see several explanations to all of that. Let's see that it's working here. Why it's not passing to the next?
About the sliding bar, the pink one.
Okay, yeah, now it's going. So, first explanation about Banel. So this program that I told you, this application, it's making also titles and explanations. So this is the words of Abarbanel from here. Rishona Amar sheme'en belibo. So Abarbanel said the word refused, and he refused, meaning in his heart. This was the first, liyoto avon plili, because it's a sin. להזדבק במרד ובמה על אשת אדוניו, וכל שכן להוליד בנים לעבודת אלילים. So it said that it's a bad thing to betray his master and to make children to avodah zarah. So it's a term that when someone is getting married or having children with other nation women, so it's like making children for avodah zarah. Anyway, he said, apart from refusal in the heart, he also explained her arguments in order to save from her. So it is also, Abarbanel here is refused, is separating. Someone wrote something. Yosef, the relative that when Yosef was about to give to Potiphar's wife, he suddenly saw the image of his father. Say, I know this Midrash. It's mentioned in Midrash. There's another question here. And did he have any questions, or it was just no? Was he almost seduced? So there are different approaches in the Midrashim, in the Mefarshim. Some say no, it was a no from the beginning to the end, and others say that he was about to give up, about to agree, to give in, about to agree, and then in the last moment he was saved by his father. We saw the picture of his father. Okay, anyway. Be it one way or another, what the Abarbanel say, we should separate between his decision to refuse, and then after that, the excuses that he gave to her, right? Separate between these two things. We're going to see that many Mefarshim going in this direction. to separate between his decision and then after that, or what are the two phases here that we are speaking about, right? Why do we need two times of refusal? Yeah.
Zoom in on the screen, it'll be. Yeah, I see.
Oh, like that. Okay. I'm not sure that it's going to be okay in the next because there are more. Why it's not passing? Oh. Let's see. Okay. Okay, so Aderet Eliyahu. You can see better now? A little bit bigger. So Aderet Eliyahu is Ben Ish Chai, Rabbi Chaim Yosef from Baghdad. So he makes several the same question. He says, יובן בסייעתא שמיא לפרש. I want to explain. דהנה לכאורה יפלא על דבריו. We should question his word, that he gave her explanation because his master gave in his hands, etc. And how can he do that? And he would be kfui tova, meaning kfui toda, yeah, ungrateful. Demashma midvarav, you can understand from his words that if not because of his master, or if his master would agree, שאם לא הדבר נוגע לרבו, אם היה ברצון רבו, ככה היה מקבל חס וחלילה. So he would accept it, חס ושלום. God forbid. חלילה וחס, ואיך ייתכן זה? So again, he asking about the excuse. You're saying only because your master gave you, this is the reason you are not agreeing, or because you cannot do that? I mean, this is the reason only because of that. So if your master would say, okay, it's okay, so you would have done that. So, and again, so that's why he explained that in this way the separation between these two parts of the verse, right? It says, ואומנם ודאי הוא שמתחילה לא השיב לכך, אלא הוא מיין בדבריה בשביל חומר העוון. So he said in the beginning, he just said no. So the difference from Barbanel. According to the Barbanel, first, the word Vayemaen he refused, meaning in his heart. And then he gave her explanation. According to Ben Ish Chai, he said to her, no, I don't want. And then she said, ואחר שראה שאין מועיל זה לנגדה, ועדיין היא מתאמצת לטובו בפה. But he saw that it doesn't work. She insists. He said no, she said yes. No, yes, no, yes. So he saw that there's no any other option. לכך הוכרח להשיב לה דברי טעם אלו לשכך דעתה. ולזה אמר הפסוק וימאן ויאמר שהכוונה הוא שאל תחשוב שתחילת הכל השיב לדברים כאלו, אלא התחילה הוא מיין דווקא על כל צד שיהיה בשביל חומר האיסור, ואחר שראה שעדיין עומדת במורדה, יאמר שאמר לדברים משכך את דעתה. So he said, when he saw, he just said in the beginning no, without explanation. When he saw she is insisting, he was obligated to convince her, to explain her and to convince her. So this is, yeah. Yeah. So maybe she won't accept the first explanation, so you gave her. So it's still not okay with God. So maybe it's okay with your husband, it's not okay with the God. Okay, maybe. Okay. So the Ktav Kabbalah say almost the opposite. He says, Vayemaen, derech bnei Adam, the usual way of people, I mean the normal thing is, אם יבואו עליו אנשים המפתים אותו לדבר עבירה, ירבה נגדם טענות להשתיקה. ובאמת אין דרך זה יצילהו. We say when people try to seduce you, to tempt you to do something wrong, if you start a discussion with them, it won't work. It won't help you. כי אם המפתה הוא איש לשון, because if the other person is a person that know how to speak, how to convince, a convincing person, בשפת חלקות ישחית דברי הנפתה וילכד ברשתו. So he said, if you try to give argument, so he may be smarter than you. So what you have to do is just say no, no way. And after that you can try to explain. But the first no should be very strong. So what I'm saying, I'm not sure, what do you think? We can see here two approaches that are opposite. The first say, He just said no, it didn't work, so he tried harder by convincing. This explanation says the opposite. He said, he just said no, no way, and this was a stronger argument without entering into a discussion. He just said no, right? And after that, you can also add some other things, but the other things are secondary to the main no, right? So when you are saying that in a decisive way, in the beginning, they cannot convince you after that, right? ואם ירצה, יסדר אחר כך טענותיו. If he wants, after that he can try to convince. וזה יומען שאמר כאן שהחליט מיד למען בה, ואחר כך הציע טענותיו לפניה. Okay? So what do you think is stronger? To try to convince in the beginning, or just say there's no way I'm going to do that in life?
And they're trying to generalize. One says this way is the correct way, the other guy is saying that way. But
yeah, it depends on the
it's
situation.
very subjective. It depends on who you are dealing with.
Yeah, so yes, some people need explanation, other people just need the
No, and that's it.
Yeah. Now, he add in name of Rabbeinu Bachye that the time, that the melody that it says, he said something interesting. יורה על איסור הדבר ואותו נמנע אצלו ממאן לו בתכלית תמים. He says that the melody, that the special melody in the word Vayemaen come to say that it was very decisive. It was like strong Vayemaen. And he says that many times from the ta'amim, from the melody, we understand things that are not written. The melody is like the tonation of the way you speak. So if you just read someone who speak, you won't always understand all the meaning because you don't hear the melody, right? Try to think about big people that has a talent of making a speech, right? So when you hear them, it's much more convincing than only reading what they're writing, right? It's not the same. So he says the tonation here comes to emphasize how strong was the no. It was no, like absolute no. Yeah.
Where does the melody come from? Is it?
It's tradition. Torah Shem Ba'al Peh. It's Torah Moshe Sinai. It's from, according to the Gemara, like the points are for Moshe, the way we read it, right?
So everybody reads the same.
They are the same melodies for everybody, but the melody is different between Ashkenazim and Sfaradim. But the principle of the melody, when you stop, when you making it longer or shorter, this is the same. Only the melody is a little bit different. So I heard the opposite of that again, also here. Yeah. Yeah, it was struggling. So I heard that until now, until I read this explanation of Rabbeinu Bachye. He says, what I heard is Vayemaen, it's so long because he wasn't sure. Yes, no, Vayemaen, not sure, yes, no. So it was in that way. כי עניין התנועות שבאדם שמתוכן הייתה כוונת ליבו. Okay, and now another אל אשת אדוניו, why it says לה, היה יכול לומר ויאמר לה, he could have said, he told her, why did he say אשת אדוניו? לבאר כי אם היותה גברת אשת אדוניו, והיה ירא אותה, את השם היה ירא יותר. This is a very strong sentence. The original sentence, I think it's Ramban, not Rabbeinu Bachye. He says that. He said, yeah, he was afraid. It said אשת אדוניו, to tell you he was afraid from her. She was a powerful woman. And he was afraid from her, but he feared more than God. He was more afraid from God than from her. And this is the reason the Torah emphasized Eshet Adonav. That you shouldn't think that, yeah, he wasn't worried about her, he wasn't afraid. Yeah, he was afraid, but still he was afraid more from God. Okay. So Dushat Levi, Rabbi Tzchak Levi Barditchev, also mentions the melodies, the Pshat, but he says that in other way. He says this melody comes like screaming, is yelling, no. Like, so it's הטעם על וימאן שלשלת, ושלשלת הוא הרמת קול, when you are raising your voice. What?
Raise your voice.
Raise your voice. כי אדם ממאס בדבר ומרים קולו במיאוס הדבר, when you are like, it's disgusting you. No way, like screaming on you. So we have three ways to understand the shalshelet. Or like it was very decisive, or that, you know what, I'm not sure. Let me think about it. Or that he was screaming on her. No, it's disgusting. How do you dare think about that? Okay. Now, now we are starting a little bit more Chassidut, the rabbi of the Chassidut, and they are speaking about different tactics or ways to deal with Yetzer Hara. And so they are speaking about when you are standing in front of temptation, how should you deal with that? So there are different things. Here, Igra de Kala, he speaks about what can cause. I think it's an important message, even though it's a simple one, it's an important message, especially about relationship between men and women. One of the things that can cause the deterioration to the sin is being too friendly. And this is something that in the modern society, it's very hard for us because in the past, a man speaking with a woman was something very rare. It wouldn't happen. I mean, people that are not married to each other, only friends, friendship between men and women almost didn't exist. Even to speak with each other, you should have asked for permission or things like that. Yeah, so I'm not talking about the Mishnah. I'm talking about, I don't remember the story, but classic story from England that it was just a novel that I read, but that the fact that one there speaking with the sister of someone was a cause for fighting. I mean, how dare you speak with her without asking permission from her parents, right? It was something that wasn't. Now today the society doesn't work like that, and we are working with each other. We are speaking with each other many times. There are friendship, and this is like the first step in the possible deterioration of arriving to the sin. And that he explained here, Igra de Kala, the explanation of, again, why it says Eshet Adonav, he doesn't say her, why it says Vayomer el Eshet Adonav. And he asked, so he mentions the question, Elea היה לו לומר, כיוון דעלה קין, Vayomer elea, and he said to her, because he's already speaking about her, why does it say Eshet Adonav? So it teaches us here the righteousness of Yosef, ותחבולותיו is tricked, is wisdom against the Yetzer. דיני העבד, the slave, the servant, בוודאי מורא אדונו ואדונותו עליו. He is afraid from his master and female master, how do you say, mistress. And when he speaks to them, he always will speak in a way of respect, of accepting them, their position, קבלת אדנות במורא כנודע. מה שאין כן כשרואה מאדונתו קירוב דעת כל כך, when you see that his master or mistress is getting closer to him, is very friendly to him, עד שהגיע לגדר לומר אליו שכבה עימי, until she arrived to say to him, על כל פנים לו יהיה שאינו שומע אליה, אף על פי כן תתבטל המורא הדנות. So he said, if she arrived to be so close to him until she feel free to tell him, sleep with me. So even though if he doesn't agree, at least he wouldn't fear from her anymore, right? So the relationship would become more closer, not as a master and servant, right? ולא ידבר עמה כל כך בקבלת מורא הדנות, כיוון שהוא רואה קירוב דעת כל כך, וזה הטבע מחייב. This is a nature. The nature is that you are not afraid for someone who is close for you. So we have fear, we talked about that in other, related to God. We have fear and love. Fear is getting the distance, love is getting closer. So it doesn't come together. The fear and the closeness doesn't come together. So when he felt, Yosef, that there is a closeness, and this is what can push him to the sin, so he was careful not to erase these borders, right? This between master and servant. So keeping the borders you say, or the lines, keeping the lines of what is the proper relationship between people. Boundaries, right? This is the word. Keeping the boundaries between people. So here he's speaking about master and slave, but I would say also colleagues, friends in the same society, in the same community, right? So keeping the boundaries, this is what can be the first step of preventing such cases, right? That's what he said. Yosef HaTzadik nishmar mikol ze. He was careful from all of that. כי היה מתיירא שלא יקלקט חס וחלילה ברשתה מחמת התקרבות הדעת. He was afraid not to fall in the sin because of the closeness of mind. And that's the reason that he spoke with her דרך הדנות ומורה כמאז, למען לא יהיה לו קרבת דעת ואהבה עמה. So he won't have any kind of closeness and love with her. כי היראה והאהבה ותופחים. So like we say, the fear and love are two opposite characteristics. יראה רחקות ואהבה קרבות, יראה רחקות ואהבה קרבות. The fear causes distance and the love causes closeness. וזהו ויאמר אל אשת אדוניו שהאמירה עמה היה באופן ובגדר מורה עדנות כמאז ואבן. So he didn't change the way he related to her, spoke with her. He always spoke with her as the mistress, not as a friend. Okay, so keeping these boundaries, that was helped him to be saved from the sin. Okay, who are now? Okay, Sfat Emet. So Sfat Emet returns. There are going to be several Sfat Emet, not only one, and he returned to speak about the two parts of the verse. First, Vayemaen, and after that, the reasons. Right. So he has several different ideas that come for that. I don't know why this application puts this photo. I'm not sure, but yeah. פירוש בתחילה מאין ועבירה בלי טעם, רק כמו שאמרו חז"ל, אל יאמר אדם מי הפשיר בשר חזיר, רק מה יעשה אני שאביו אשר בשמיים גזר עלי. So there is a famous saying of חכמים, that when they ask you, why don't you eat bacon? Right? So you can answer, because it's very not healthy. Or I don't like it. Oh, it's disgusting. So this is called, I cannot eat that. This is the wrong answer. The right answer is, I'm not eating it because God prohibited that for me, right? So the only reason, I don't need excuses, I don't need explanation. I'm not doing that because God prohibited. So once you have the faith in God, you believe that what He told you is good for you, and you don't need any further explanation. So this is the main reason He said no. But He says something similar to what we say before in the name of other, right? The first of all is no. After that, the excuses come to strengths or to add, but never mind. The main point is no. But here, Sfat Emet adds something else. He said, as a result, the consequence or the reward of refusing for that is that you will also understand after that. So many times we speak about the relationship or between doing, obeying, and understanding. We say we must obey to the mitzvot because Hashem orders us, and if we understand, it's better. But he said sometimes that he said here that the reward of obeying without understanding is being able to understand after that. So the order is not understand and then do, is first do, and after that, Bezrat Hashem, you are going to understand also. Not always, but there is more. Yeah, but I mean, there is more chance. There is more possibilities that you would understand after accepting. Because many say, first I want to understand. Once I understand, I will also do. He says the order is the opposite. First do, then Hashem will give you the merit to understand. That's what he says here. בתחילה מאין בלי טעם. In the beginning, he refused without any explanation, also for himself. He doesn't think it's good, it's bad, it's okay to do that, it's not okay. He just say because God prohibited that for me. And he say, ואמת, שעל ידי יראת שמיים, by having this fear of heaven, זוכים אחר כך למצוא טעמים. After that, you will also find reason. You have the merit to find reason, to choose a good, and to limos. Limos is disgust or to reject, maybe. Reject the bad. But limos meaning when you don't like it, you feel repute. What?
You feel repulsion.
Repulsion to that. Yes, so, yeah, anyway, we can say reject. So you say, the truth is that by Irat Shamayim, fearing of heaven, not doing because of the fear of heaven, after that you're going to have the merit to find the reasons, to choose the good and to reject the bad. That's the reason that by the refusal, Vayemaen, you also arrive to understand the ta'am. And he says something else. כי החוכמה של האדם הבל. The wisdom of human being is weak. הבל is
Fleeting,
like you say in קהלת, הבל הבלים.
fleeting. It's, yeah,
Vain.
Yeah.
It's vain. It's not truth. ויש בו כמה טעותים. And how many mistakes do we have in our wisdom? So we can give reasons and explanation, but we are many times wrong. אבל החוכמה והדעת שבאה על ידי יראת שמיים היא האמת. What is the formula to arrive to the real wisdom is by fear of heaven, fear of Hashem, right? So by fearing of Hashem, it will prevent you from making the mistakes of the human wisdom. And that's the reason that the fear is before the wisdom. And then the wisdom will be truth. וזה שאמרו חז"ל, כל שירת חטאו קודמת לחוכמתו, חוכמתו מתקיימת. וכולי, אין יראת השם מחוכמה, פירוש החוכמה הבאה בכוח היראה. So this is the Mishnah in Masechet Avot that says, if the wisdom is before the fear of heaven, it won't prevail. If fear is before the wisdom itself will prevail. It's not only that the fear will prevail, יראת שמיים, but also the wisdom itself will prevail. Chokhmah is wisdom, yeah. And also the verse in Mishlei say, En yirat Hashem I chokhmah. The fear of God, this is a wisdom. So he explained, what does it mean the fear is wisdom? Fear and wisdom is two different things. What does it mean that fear is wisdom? We learned about one explanation of Ramchal in the beginning of Siyat Yesharim. He says that the only thing that really need learning is how to develop this fear. But he says he says other explanation. He says the wisdom come by the fear. So the fear is the mean to arrive to the real wisdom. What? Reshit Chokhmah Yirat Hashem. Yeah. Reshit Chokhmah. It's another verse. It's other verse. Okay. Anyway, you see here Yirat Hashem I Chokhmah. By. So again, just to summarize what he's saying, he says the refusal come without any explanation, and by that he arrived to see, you know what, also if you think about it, it's not very nice to do such a things, because my master gave me everything, and because it's against God. But in the beginning he didn't need all of that. He only said it's not allowed, I'm not doing that. Okay. So this is a Sfat Emet. Okay. Something similar to that, also related to Hanukkah. It's in the name of Shem Shmuel. Shem Shmuel says something similar. First of all, he also mentioned the town, the melody of the shalshelet. He said, Vayemaen ubeshalshelet uvefsik. So it's not only, there is like line. If we can return to the, it's hard with this, yeah. It doesn't let me, it's a little bit slowly. I want to show you how it's written in the Ta'amim. So in the Torah itself, all the Ta'amim that do not appear at all. Maybe we just give up.
Almost there, almost there.
Here it's faster.
There you go.
Here, you see, this is the, let's try to make it bigger. This is a shalshelet, this line, that the broken line here is shalshelet. And then you have this line. This called pasek. So the Sfaradim really stop. Each time we have that, they must stop. Ashkenazim do not very strict about
Slow
that.
down.
Slow down a little bit, but they don't stop. It's again, all the Ta'amim are not written in the Torah. It's the tradition, the spoken Torah, not the written Torah. In the Torah, you don't have any of that. You just have the letters. All the Ta'amim and the Nekudot are in tradition. Anyway, this Ta'am is a stopper, right? You have to stop here. So that's what Shem Shmuel emphasized, two things. The shalshelet, here. Tevat Vayemaen I beshalshelet uvepasek. כדי להפרידו מתיבת, is to separate that from the arguments. וזה להורות, to teach you, שמעין לא מצד הטענות. Again, similar to what שפת אמת says, that he refused not because of the argument, אלא שמעין בפשטות בלי שום טעם ובלי שום התחכמות. Without being, you know the term אוי ורחוכם? אוי ורחוכם, it's in Yiddish, Hebrew, too smart. Being too smart. So he says the refusal came in a simple way, without reason and without any wise explanation. ואז שהציע לפניה טענות, לא צריך לזה, אלא להרגיע אותה. He says that not because he needed that, but only to calm her. For him, he didn't need the explanation at all. So it's not saying here the same about what Sfat Emet says, that from that he arrived to that. He said the explanation was for her. For him, without any kind of explanation and reasons. And then it says here, וזה לימוד גדול לכל איש ואיש. It's a big, it's important teaching or lesson to every person. בהגיע שום מעשה אשר בלתי ראוי תחת ידו. When you have the opportunity to do inappropriate action, לא ידחה הדבר בטענות שכליות. You shouldn't look for rational reasons to reject it. שהשכל איננו בהיר תמיד, הוא מהיר לנגד עיניו. Because the brain, our rationality, is not always clear. והרי השוחד יעבר. The verse says that the shochad, how do you translate shochad?
Bribe.
Bribe. The bribe makes the wise blind. What does it mean? When the judge get money, he get blind. So what is the meaning of that? The Torah tells you you shouldn't give bribe to the judge, right? So if the judge is judging against the law, also without bribe it's not allowed. So the bribe is not the reason that it's forbidden, right? You're not, if you saw that he stole from him, so whether he give you bribe or doesn't, you cannot judge for his favor, right? So what does it mean the bribe make you blind? That you won't see that. You will convince yourself of other things. So we are not talking about a clear case. We are talking about a case when the Torah has to tell you don't take bribe. When the case is not very clear, it's not, you have to think about that. And then the Torah tells you, if you will receive the bribe, you won't be able to think clearly. It will make you blind. So what he's saying here is that we can see from that our wisdom or our brain, our rationality is weak. Right? He say also, if you start to convince yourself you shouldn't do the sin, so maybe Yetzer Hara is smarter than you. He will find your explanation why it is a good thing to do. בעיניך שוחד גדול מיצר הרע. So the biggest bribe comes from Yetzer Hara. Like, it will give you reasons, it will give you explanation. שהוא מחליק הדבר בעיניו ועושה מעבירה מצווה. So it's a term from the Talmud, עושה מעבירה מצווה. He making from a sin, he make it a mitzvah. Right?
Tshuva.
What?
When you do tshuva.
No. He says it will convince you that the bad action is actually good. Right? So he will find you a reason to explain you why what you're doing is actually a good thing. וכמו שאמרנו כמה פעמים, שזה רמזו בש"ס כתלמיד חכם נדמה לו. It's ת"ח should be. That the reason in the Shas, it says that the Yetzer Hara
Often appears
as תלמיד חכם. What does it mean that the Yetzer Hara appears as תלמיד חכם? As that it gives you, who is Yetzer Hara? It's yourself, your brain, your tendencies, your temptations. So you will find explanation to explain yourself why actually it's a good thing. And it says, for example, in this case, והרבי יוסף היא ראתה באצטרוגולין שלה, מסתם מגן יוסף רע. So the Gemara says that she had some kind of, I don't know, magician or something. She saw that she's going to have offspring from him. How this is happened? Because after that, she got married with her daughter. Asnat, the wife of Yosef, was a daughter of the wife of Potiphera. It says, Asnat bat Potiphera. Right? So she saw in some kind of, I don't know, astrology, yeah, that she's going to have children from him. So she also, according to the Talmud, she had reason to do that, not only desire. And he said, we assuming that he also knew that. If she knew that, he also knew that. So if you're looking for explanation, here you are. The explanation is that you are destined to have children with her daughter from her, right? והיצר הרע בוודאי יראה לו לעשות מעבירה מצווה. So the Yetzer Hara would say, you know who come with this shidduch? Yoshua bin Nun will come from that. And Ephraim will come from that. It's a big mitzvah to do that. So if you are starting to looking for explanation, you will find one. ואם המיון היה על ידי טענות שכליות, if the refusal would come with logical explanation, היה מקום ליצר הרע למושכו ברשותו, the יצר הרע would find a way to push him to that, to pull him to it. אבל המיון היה מצד עצם נפשו. The refusal was from his very essence of his soul. בלי שום טענות והתחכמות. And he say, וזה לימוד לדורות. This is something that should be taught for generation. You shouldn't do the bad because. After that, I mean, if it's defined as bad in the Torah or in, I don't know, in the human ethics, you shouldn't find reasons why to do that or look for reasons why not to do that. Why? Just no. ויש לימוד עוד, ויש לומר עוד, you can learn from that another thing, שיוסף הביא זה עמידה בכל ישראל. Yosef brought this trait, this character to all עם ישראל. כי כל ישראל נקראו בני יוסף. So you know that we have only three fathers, Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. The tribes, but it's Am Israel is sometimes in the prophets called the sons of Yosef. Even though we're not all of us sons of Yosef, he is considered as a half father, almost a father, almost one of the patriarchs, meaning that we got this from him. וכמו שאב מוריש טבעו לבניו, כן הטביע יוסף דרכו בקודש לכל ישראל. The same as the son inherit the character, the nature from his father, so Yosef also, he put his character, his nature in all of Israel. And he says this was what helped us in the times of the Yevanim. So we are getting close to Hanukkah. You will always find Parashat Vayeshev, Miketz, Vayishlach. They are starting to speak about Hanukkah, feeling it's close. And there are some rare cases when Vayeshev fall in Hanukkah. Not very often, but sometimes. So he says, the Yevanim, the Greeks, were philosophers. וגם הם עשו בגשמיות. So they were also very spiritual. They also rejected the materialism. So it depends what philosophers you're speaking about. But if you're speaking about a person like Plato or Socrates, they were very spiritual people, right? So they could find by their mind the reasons why you should be spiritual and not go after. אבל היה זה על פי חקירה, but they arrived to that by intellectual investigation. ואין איזה קיום. He says this cannot stand. This cannot stand. If you arrive to that only by rationalism, by explanation, not without the fear of heaven, it won't last. כי אחר כל חוכמתם וחקירתם נשארו מזוהמים כידוע מניינם ומגזרותיהם שתיבד התפסר תחילה. So he said, in the end of the story, the temptation, the יצר הרע stayed in there. So maybe there were some people that could purify themselves, but generally in the nation itself, they couldn't arrive to this kind of elevation, right? That they are totally spiritual. אבל ישראל מצד נפשם מואסים ברע, על כן כוחם גדול מכוח היוונים ברוחמיות, וכמה אלומתי וגם ניצבה. So he said, but Israel receives this character from Yosef, and they are able to stick with the spirituality without the rational explanation. So after that, like we said, we can find explanations, but we don't depend on that. It's belong to our essence. And that's the reason they were stronger than the Yevanim. And then he uses the word from the beginning of the parasha, וכמה אלומתי וגם ניצבה, that it stand. The aluma is the wheat that Yosef collected. How do you say?
Sheaf.
The sheaf.
Sheaf.
The sheaf that it was standing.
Yeah.
What does it mean? Stand and itzevet. Stand and stable. Right? That it stand forever. Right? So the character of Yosef stays in us forever. So I can say that, well, there are some Jews also that going after materialism. But we have the chance, at least as a nation, to rise to this level once we finish the process of purification. Okay. Do you have energy to a little bit more explanation?
Sure.
Okay. Let's see. I will see only this last one, also from the Sfat Emet. So he starts with other question. The question, it's a very famous question. Why Yaakov didn't know that Yosef is in Egypt? So Yaakov mourned for Yosef for 17 years. So some say it was a punishment. 17? No,
22.
22. Yes, some it was say it was punishment for not making kibbut orim for his father, so he lost his child for 22 years. The question is, okay, maybe this is one explanation, but still, he asked you, מה שלא גילה הקדוש ברוך הוא ליעקב, אבל יגלה עליו שלום, מכירת יוסף. Why Hashem didn't tell him? So why didn't he see that in prophecy? אף כי היה על ידי החרם וכולי, so there is a midrash that says that there was a ban, that the brothers did a ban, nobody can tell, even not God, tell Yaakov, oath. Anyway, מכל מקום, למה סיבבו כן משמיים? Why Hashem permitted that? And the answer, אפשר, כי היה לטובתו. Maybe it was better for him, for יעקב. כי היה לו צער יותר, אם היה יודע כי נמכר למצרים מקום ערווה וטומאה. If he had known that he was sold to Egypt, he would suffer much more. Why he would suffer more? Because a place of impurity, the first of not idolatry, adultery, and perverts, stio, how do you say? What? Perversion. Yes, it was a very impure place. So he was afraid not only that he was sold, that he would attempt to live like them. So it was even stronger suffering for him than thinking that it's amazing what he's saying. He's saying for Yaakov, it would be better to think that he's dead than to think that he's a sinner. He would suffer more for thinking that he's in Egypt. כי באמת היה דבר גדול מאוד שנשאר יוסף הצדיק בקדושתו. They say it was a great thing that Yosef could stay righteous in his holiness in Egypt. ונראה כי הקדוש ברוך הוא עשה הכל לטובה, כי לא היה באפשרי שגודל ישראל בלתי הקדמה דעת צריך למצרים, וגם ישראל יושב במצרים, לא היה באפשרי. רק על ידי זה עצמו שנמכר בעוולה ובית הדין, זה היה לו סיוע שלא יתאמה חס ושלום ביניהם, בזכות זה סייעתו להישאר בקדושה. He said, actually it wasn't possible to stay like him, only because he was sold against his will, that was helping him to stay like that. I'm not sure exactly what it's meaning. I want just to arrive to the topic that is related to our topic. I'm not going to try to investigate that. He said, also the ניסיון, the test, with the wife of Potiphar, שכתב במדרש ואין איש וכולי, נראה שהיה ניסיון גדול מאוד. He said, like the Midrash said, and this is other opinion that Yosef mentioned before, that there is opinion that he actually meant to come and sleep with her in the beginning. It says, ויהי היום ויבוא לעשות מלאכתו ואין איש בבית. So he came to make his work when nobody was at home. What work? His work with her. That was the Midrash says. He said, we learned from this Midrash that the test was very, very big. And there are two kinds of tests. ויש בית מיני ניסיונות. אחד שיכול האדם לגבור בכוחו. There is a test that we can overcome or win with our own power. Meaning you are strong enough to overcome the temptation. This is one kind of test. ויש ניסיון עצום מזה שאין באפשרי לגבור כלל. There are other kind of tests that it's impossible. It's beyond you. It's above your powers. רק על ידי רצון ולב אמת וצדק שיש להצדיק. זוכה שיקחו ממנו הבחירה שיצא מהניסיון. So he said, if you are righteous enough, you will have the merit that the free will be taken from you. Okay, so the only way to overcome this kind of temptation, of test, is when you don't have free will. Hashem make grace with you, kindness with you, helping you by taking away your free will. So usually we have free will, always, but sometimes it is taken from us, and that is how Hashem protect us. Why would it happen? ופירוש שיסיינו משמיים, וזה שכתב וימאן ויאמר אין אדוני וכולי, וכתב במקום אחר פירוש זה שנתן הקדוש ברוך הוא הבחירה לאדם בכל מעשה שירצה לעשות. רק אחת מבקש השם יתברך מהאדם שיזכור בעול מלכותו יתברך, ושידע שהכל מאיתו. וצריך כל פנים האדם לשמור זאת. So he said, he explains that in the former, I would explain that a little bit. It say like that. אין אדוני לא ידע מה איתי בבית, right? My master doesn't know anything that I'm doing. Who is the master? Potiphar, no? But it say, yeah, you can understand, master is God. And God gave you, is that like not knowing what you're doing. All is on you. וכל אשר יש לו, נתן בידי. He gave me everything he has. What does it mean? Hashem gave in your hand always a choice to choose between good and bad. And by thinking about that, you said, God gave me the power to do that. How can I go against him? How can I do against my master? So all this sentence wasn't about Potiphar. It was about God. How can I work against God? So I want God to take my free will. So that it says here. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave the choice to a man in every action that he can do whatever he wants. Only one thing Hashem asked for him, that he would remember the yoke of his kingdom, meaning God, and that he would know that everything comes from him. And the person should keep that, keep always in mind that everything comes from God. והבן אלה הדברים בדברי יוסף הצדיק ולא חסך כי מותח וכולי ודי לחכימה. He said, this is the words of Yosef, you should understand in this, he said, I won't explain you now, explain in other places, like I said before. ועל ידי זה זכה יוסף הצדיק לצאת מהבחירה, על ידי שזכר שגם בבחירה נתן הקדוש ברוך הוא. How could Yosef arrive to a place when he don't have free choice? Because he remembered that the free choice comes from God. So he said, I ask God, please take from me this free choice in this moment, because I cannot do that alone. Okay, so by remembering that the free choice comes from God, you can give up the free choice. ושאין זה יושר לעבוד רצונו יתברך, לכן אף כי לא יכול היה לגבור בכוחו על ידי המרירות שהיה לו, על זה הוציא הקדוש ברוך הוא מהניסיון. So he said, that even though he didn't have the power by himself to overcome the temptation, הקדוש ברוך הוא himself helped him to do that. וזה היה הכנה לכל הגלויות. He said, this is a preparation for all the גלויות, exiles, exiles that you're going to have in our history. כי גלות מצרים הוא כלל כל הגלויות, ועיקר הגלות הוא תוספת הבחירה. כי אם לא היה בחירה כלל, האדם היה ממש בן חורין. לכן כשזוכים לצאת מהבחירה, this is like a little bit paradox here, right? What he's saying. I will explain that. What does it mean that we are free? Usually we understand we are free to choose whatever we want, right? I am free to do whatever I want. This means the meaning of freedom. But the question is, who is me that is free? And when I choose to do something because I'm tempted by my desires, am I free to do that, or my desire? So who is me? The desire is me, and then I choose what the desire tells me, or I have an inner me, which is not the desire. Or when I'm doing something because of the society around me, or because I was educated to think that it's good for me, even though it's bad for me. Is it the real me? So what is the real free man? The real free man is the one who always chooses to do what his essence tells him to do. What's the real me? Meaning, when he's not free. So he is free from all the other temptations, so he is slave of his own meaning his real being. How do you say be? Yeah, you can say, yeah, the real me. Okay, I can say the real me.
His own self.
His own self, yeah, maybe this is the word, his own self. Okay, so again, I try to, so when you are doing something bad against God's will, against the Torah, you are doing something against your own soul. Why? Because there are other enslaved factors, right? Factors that enslave you. It's maybe your desire, your society, your education, your mind, right? But it's not you. When you are able to liberate yourself from all these factors, then you are free from them. So what is the only thing that obligates you to work? What is your own self, right? So you are slave to yourself or to God, right? This is being free. That's what he's saying here. When we are really free, when we don't have a free choice. In what meaning? That we are obligated by our own nature, by our own nature. Right? And this is the song of Rabbi Yehuda Halevi, עבדי הזמן עבדי העבדים הם, עבד השם ולבד חופשי. The slave of the time, meaning of the temporal factors of the world, are slaves. And who is free? The one who is slave of God. Right? Because by being slave of God, you are loyal to your own self. So that's what's happened to Yosef here. He looked on the world and he said, God gave me the free choice. How can I go against him? So I give up my free choice. And this is why God helped him to overcome the temptation. Okay, this is another point here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions or comment? Okay.